Hey there, and welcome to my channel, The Paper Bag Investor. Today I want to talk about Square stock. Is Square stock a buy? And I want to go over what I call Elon Musk's fintech master plan for PayPal. But PayPal didn't execute on that plan, but how Square might just be doing it. So without further ado, let's get into it. And I want to make a really quick disclaimer that this is not personal financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a guy with a paper bag on his head who loves investing and thinking about the future. And if you love investing, thinking about the future, I encourage you hit that subscribe button down below. While you're at it, hit the like button. It really helps me out. But hit that subscribe button if you want to become a better investor. I've been on a journey of investing for about the last 10, 12 years, and I've been able to average about 20% a year return, and hope to continue doing that in the future. So if you want to join me for a ride, hit that subscribe button down below. So first off, shout out to Warren Redlich's channel. He actually made a Square video about a week ago where he asked this question.
A key question I don't see is, what's the potential future for Square?
And this video will try and answer that. And we're going to play a clip of Elon Musk explaining his master plan for PayPal when he was running PayPal.
The long-term vision that I had for PayPal, or sort of in sort of finance, was to well, it sounds a bit strange, like to convert the financial system from a series of heterogeneous, insecure databases to one database.
I love this clip of Elon because he's explaining the biggest problem that financial institutions have to solve, but he's also explaining why traditional banks and financial institutions can't solve this problem. And what is the biggest problem for them to solve? It's the ability to quickly and easily exchange money. We live in a world where you can video chat with anyone in the world or hundreds of people in the world at once, but the simple task of sending money to someone else is very, very cumbersome. In Canada, where I live, we have a system called e-transfers, and it's a system where all the major banks and financial institutions in Canada have bought into, and it's a decent system. You can basically send money by email or by phone number through your bank, but it still takes sometimes 30 minutes or more for the money to go through. It's a little bit cumbersome to set up the payee in your online banking when you want to send money to someone. And there's generally a $2,000 limit per day that can be sent. And there's also typically a minimum amount of $10 that can be sent. And the reason it takes so long is because you have these old legacy banks, and when their databases are trying to talk to each other, it's a slow, insecure process.
Like there are these old legacy mainframes that don't talk to each other very well, have poor security, and only do batch processing once a day.
But the solution to this really is to have every single person banking under the same system, the same roof, for example, because then you could instantly send money back and forth and securely do it. And really the question is then, how do you achieve that? You basically need to make one bank that's extremely compelling and that can grow aggressively and rapidly, because the more people using the bank, the more valuable it is to every user in it. And here's a little bit more of Elon explaining this thought.
And what would you do with it?
Well, I think I converted it into more of a full-service financial institution. So you want to do all the things that a consumer, you want to have like all the financial services that somebody needs in one place, seamlessly integrated together and easy to use. And I think really care about the consumer. I think a lot of banks don't seem to care that much about the customer. So I think there's an opportunity to be like a really good bank, effectively, but much more than what people think of.
And I love what Elon is saying here, because this really is a solution. This is the solution to the problem, is you make one bank that has every single banking service a person might want, and then you aggressively grow that bank. And the reason you need to aggressively grow that bank is because the more people that use that bank, then the more value there is for each person who's in that bank. It's called the network effect. Because if we're two different people and we're in the same bank, we can securely and safely and instantly send money back and forth. But if we're in any separate financial institutions, then we have the problem that we currently have, where it's slow and difficult to send money. And if I want to send you $1.25 for a coffee, I have to literally get cash to do that, or that's about it. So just to reiterate, the solution is to make a bank that's very forward-thinking, is built by a software company, and that offers every service that a bank might offer. Checking accounts, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, investing accounts, and make it all very compelling to a user. But then on top of that, you need to aggressively grow your user base. Do whatever it takes to aggressively grow your monthly active users. And if you can do that, there's going to be a tipping point where suddenly a majority of people are using that banking software and not using any of their other traditional banks or other banking software. And they're using that one specifically because they have the network effect of it. Makes it so easy to send money to everyone else who's in that network. The network effect that I'm talking about is so powerful and so effective, and the reason that other big companies like Facebook, for example, nearly impossible to dethrone because everyone uses Facebook, which is what makes the value of Facebook valuable. If no one was on Facebook, no one would be on Facebook. It's the same thing with email services. The fact that everyone uses email is the reason that you can use email. It's the same with YouTube. People are watching YouTube because there's great content on YouTube, which causes content creators to make more great content on YouTube. If there's nothing on YouTube, no one would watch YouTube, and then no one would make anything for YouTube. It's the same thing with Google Search. Because everyone is using Google Search, we make Google Search better, which causes Google to continue to have the best search. Anyways, there's many examples of this network effect and why it's so powerful. And the same is true with, there's an opportunity for one financial institution to really seize the global market or the market as a whole, make one very compelling banking service, and then grow aggressively your user base so you get that momentum of a network effect. And in my opinion, PayPal has really missed the boat on this. They have their Venmo service that they've created to exchange money, but they haven't really aggressively pursued it and gone for the juggernaut of one total bank. But I see that Jack Dorsey and Square, I know that Jack Dorsey is a huge Elon fan, and I think that he understands this this master plan that Elon had for finance. And I really believe that's what Square is pursuing. So we're going to dig a little bit more into Square stock here and ask, is it a buy? Could they achieve this sort of master plan that Elon's talking about? What would the value of that potentially be? And also cover what are the main risks that I see for them accomplishing that or not. So if we're looking at Square, I'm going to put up a little slide. They have, and this slide shows their main services. They have a seller side and then really the Cash App side. Honestly, as an investor, I care very little about the seller side. I think it's great. There's potential and there's value there, and it's making them a profitable company now, which is awesome and helps them grow. But it's not the main catalyst for massive growth that I would see. So I'm really just going to disregard that. It's not a huge, honestly, it can be, I don't even really care about it too much as an investor. What I really care about is the Cash App and how aggressively they can grow that. I want to see that individuals are using the Cash App and that its monthly active users are growing rapidly, and they have been growing rapidly, and hopefully that continues. And I'm going to show a little zoom in of the Cash App side of this screen. So what Square's done is they're taking kind of what Elon suggested, that really rather than just making a peer-to-peer money app, try and make an all-inclusive banking app where really you can get your paycheck automatically deposit into it, and that's really the only thing you use is that account. You don't need any other traditional banking account. So they've done that. They've created all these different services, loans, mortgages, an investing account, this cash boost, etc. And they're really just trying to make it like an all-encompassing bank. And Square's been doing a good job of aggressively growing the Cash App monthly users. Since 2015, when they launched, they've been roughly doubling their user base per year. So they were at about 1 million in 2015, and then 3 million, 7 million, 15 million, 24 million at the end of 2019. And then halfway through 2020, they're at about 30 million active users. And again, I can't reiterate this enough that this is really the most fundamental most important thing for me is this monthly active user base is growing rapidly. Because again, the value of the account for every user in that account, and also for Square itself, grows exponentially as the number of users exist or are using it. Just like these other network effects I discussed earlier. Because the more people that have the Cash App, it means the more you can instantly and seamlessly send money back and forth between people. And this is super, super valuable for the population at large, just being able to transfer money, because individuals with the same can send money back and forth. But even if it grew to where there was a large enough commercial base, or individual base rather, you'd have actually businesses that could sort of would also be part of, would be incentivized to be part of the Square ecosystem, Cash App ecosystem, so that they could receive money instantly through a Cash App payment, for example. But ultimately, it starts with the user base first and foremost. So again, the value to the users is they can instantly send money back and forth, but the value to Cash App is massive, or value to Square itself is massive. It's hard to put numbers to what this would be evaluated at, but just imagine, for example, a bank that knew almost everyone's transactions and financial picture. And there'd obviously be advertising incentives. There'd also be what Cash App is doing now is called boosts, where essentially businesses can use a boost so that users might get a discount or coupon, and Cash App would take a cut of those savings. It's basically a form of advertising. And Square and the Cash App would also have the advantage of knowing, because they would know such a detailed picture of everyone's finances, they could easily and quickly approve loans, which is something they're already doing, making that more rapid, but improve loans and lower their risk of defaulting on a loan, because they would know more detailed financial picture about the person they're giving the loan to. And to me, these things are extremely valuable if the network was huge, like where a good chunk of the world's population was using the same financial bank. It's very difficult to put actual quantitative numbers to these things. It'd be like trying to guess the value of Google search engine before, when in the very early days of Google search, people would have laughed at the valuations that are on Google now. Or it'd be like trying to evaluate what social media or Facebook might be worth in the early days to what it is now, because people did not understand that potential. So to me, this, as an investor, this picture of what the Cash App could be for Square is very, very, very valuable. But the main question is, can they do this? Can Square accomplish this? So what's the main risks to this? And really, there's one main risk is governments. I think governments and regulators with financial systems like this are very, very stringent and may severely limit the growth of one application or one bank software like this taking over. But in my opinion, the way that Square mitigates this risk or overcomes it is they have to really dominate certain markets, certain geographic areas first. And they need to completely dominate these areas and then move out from that. For example, the Cash App is already in the US, and in my opinion, what really they should do is try and dominate the US market. And even if there's certain areas of the US where they see that there's a higher percentage of people that are monthly active users on the Cash App, really target those areas first, even those cities or those states, and target those users and try and aggressively grow the user base so that more and more people are using their app in the same area. And then spread from there to other cities, and really check off city by city. When Facebook, for example, when Facebook was growing, they took over one university campus at a time. They took this strategy. Basically, they took over a campus and they became the social media for that university. And then once they took over one, they went to the next campus by campus across the states and then across the world. And then after they had taken over universities, they took over, they expanded from universities to everyone else. And this is what Square with the Cash App must do. And this, as an investor, this is what I'm watching for. I'm watching for massive user growth in the Cash App and I'm looking for them to attack certain niches and certain areas, even certain little networks that they completely overtake, where everyone just says, oh, the only thing I need is the Cash App. I don't need my traditional bank account. I can just drop that bank account and use only the Cash App, and then keep growing laterally from there to other cities and other networks. And I think if they overtook the US, where like 200 million Americans had a Cash App or more, they could then, because the U.S. is such a global leader, they could they could expand to other countries, and they would have more influence on those other countries and on their governments. But first of all, they have to really overtake one network in one place at a time. And that's really what I'm looking for as an investor. If they can follow that path, keep growing rapidly, and keep dominating certain networks and then expanding from there, I think it's going to be a very, very good investment and definitely a buy, and I'm going to hold on to my shares. If they don't do that, and they don't have that crystal clear vision of what they should be doing, or they sort of fumble that execution in any way, then I would probably sell my shares in the future. But let me know, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about Square? What do you think about the comments I've made about it? Do you think the Cash App could take over the world, take over the U.S. even to start? Do you think that's possible for them to do that? Or if you disagree with anything else I said, let me know down below. Or if you agree with anything, let me know down below. And if you're getting value out of these videos and you're enjoying this, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. Hit that thumbs up. It really helps the videos as well. But thanks again so much for watching. I also want to make a quick disclaimer that just to reiterate, as I do in my other videos, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a guy with a paper bag on his head who loves investing and thinking about the future. And again, if you love investing and thinking about the future and you want to become a better investor, please hit that subscribe button down below and become a better investor with me. So thank you so much for watching. Cheers.